Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Kanye's White Lives Matter t-shirt. As I'm sure you've seen, in the latest Paris Fashion Week, Kanye chose to put his black models, including Lauryn Hill's daughter, in White Lives Matter t-shirts. The worst part, he was holding hands with Candace Owens. She was smiling at him like this, with grin ear to ear. It broke my heart to see her smile and holding hands with him, right? And, you know, so they walk the show. Jaden Smith walks out. Somebody, I think it's like somebody who writes for Vogue, a black fashion designer, critiqued Kanye. He then decides to go after this black woman's fashion, something about her boots. Gigi Hadid starts defending the black fashion designer, saying Kanye doesn't know what he's doing. Kanye then goes to Instagram and posts the strangest things. He always starts with like some sort of religious gargoyle, right? That has no context. Side note, we know he's mentally unwell. We know he needs help, but it's getting to the point where it's hard to excuse his behavior because it's getting really harmful and really ridiculous. And it's like, when asked why he's made these black models, including Lauryn Hill's daughter, which really breaks my heart because like Lauryn Hill is Lauryn Hill. She's done so much for the black movement, and I really fear that wealth for her child and for Kanye is part of the reason why they're so out of touch in this instance. Because like when Lauryn Hill's daughter, her name's Selah, I don't know how to say her name, when she was asked why she wore the White Lives Matter shirt, she was saying, you know, all of you are stuck in a hive mind, which is a very like Kanye West thing to say. And I think Kanye too is very out of touch in what he's saying, like the impact of it. Because so then of course he has to go onto Fox because that makes any sense. It's really for spectacle, and part of me thinks he's obviously freaking out because he's not seeing his kids as much as he wants to, but I also just think he's, you know, upset about Kim, upset about the divorce, upset about his family, and he's just kind of acting out for attention. And I think all of this, I think the end goal really is just to like reunite with Kim and get Kim back somehow. I really think it is. Or get retribution for, you know, Kim stealing his kids. But then he has a really weird way of speaking about Kim, like even in the interview saying, you know, my wife, something about her being naked, complaining about her being naked again, even though obviously, like, it's so crazy how he married her for exactly who she is, which is somebody who is extremely famous, extremely nude a lot of the time, leverages her body and, you know, even the surgeries of her body and her body being on trend and changing the trends of her body. That's how she makes her money. And she is a non-black person. Technically she's Armenian, but you know, you can also call her white. Kanye calls her white, right? And then now that they're divorced, it's like he's starting to be like, oh, and the way she shows her body, and this white woman wouldn't let me see my kids. And it's just like, but that's why you married her. That's why you married her in the first place. So which is it? It's very hard to have your cake and eat it too in this regard because you look silly. You look a little bit silly. Anyways, and then so what he was also saying in his Instagram was something about the reason Candace Owens was there was because she was one of the only he said she was the only public figure to stand up for him not having his kids or not being able to see his kids on, I think it was like Chicago's birthday or something, and he said he didn't know where they were, but it was like Kim didn't tell him where the birthday party is because he was acting crazy. Like he's also acting now very erratic, irrational, not exactly parent material. So I can understand why there's been barriers made, and it's a divorce, buddy. I don't know what to tell you, but you know, I that gave me more insight into why Candace was there. Because when I first saw her holding hands with him and smiling, and my heart shattered, and I was slowly picking it up off the floor, I was like, but why is she there? Like that just feels so random to me. And my first thought was like, he was trying to be ironic if it weren't for her being there, But then, you know, her saying, or him saying that she's the only public figure that supported me. Now I understand why he wanted her there. I'm not in a way that, not that it makes sense, but it just seems so random before. I was like, why Candace Owens? Why one of the worst women in the world? Like, what made you really want to do that? But now I understand he's just a narcissist and she's the only one that stood up for him, even though he is kind of in the wrong still. In addition to that, in the interview with, I don't know what his name is, like Tut Carlson or something very like Republican. And it's like, what? It's so crazy. He was like, yeah, I'm going to Fox, like, whatever. But Kanye's Kanye, and Kanye will always Kanye. And he's saying, he did say some things in the interview that aren't wrong, but he said a lot of things that are wrong too, right? And I think a lot of what he was saying was like, wow, you know, Tut Carlson or what, I refuse to look this man's name up, this news reporter. I really think it is Tut Carlson, but I refuse to look it up. So if it's not that, I'm really sorry. I'm not looking it up. Like, I don't need to look up a white Republican man's name right now and get his Google search up a bump. Like, I just won't be doing that. I don't support the cause, okay? But Tut Carlson, or whatever his name is, asked him, you know, why did you wear the White Lives Matter shirts? And he said, well, because obviously they do. And it's like, slow clap. Like, good for you, Kanye. It's very, like, grade 6 behavior. Like, you know that really annoying boy in your class, in maybe even grade 4. Maybe even grade 4. Where he's, like, just stating the obvious in a way that he thinks is clever, but we're all, like, very over it. And we're like, okay, way to completely not read the room, not understand any context. Like, yeah, that's very obvious, but we've all seen the metaphor of the burning house on fire in the row of houses, like, let's attend the house on fire. And then they're talking about how Black Lives Matter as an organization is a scam, which I've heard multiple people say. I don't know if it's true, right? I don't know enough to speak on that. What I do know is that the sentiment of Black Lives Matter is correct, because the assumption and the treatment is that they don't. And so it's important to say Black Lives Matter. Black people wearing a shirt that says White Lives Matter isn't helpful. And it's very dangerous in the hands of bigots. It's very dangerous in the hands of Trump supporters, in the hands of people who take things literally and don't understand context or perception. Like, for them to see, oh, well, Kanye West is like one of the leading, most successful Black men in the world, and artists in the industry, and fashion designers. So if he thinks that White Lives Matter and he is against Black Lives Matter, well then I think all the Black people who are saying Black Lives Matter and their allies must be tripping. So I'm right in saying all lives matter and blue lives matter. And it's just like such a wormhole of misinformation and potential for misinterpretation that really, really bothers me, because he should know what he's doing. Like, and Kanye, I think he just is so far removed from like normal society now that he doesn't understand how things work, how the real world works, how, you know, lower circles than him operate. Because once you reach the upper echelon of wealth, you do become kind of distant from real world issues, real world perspectives, even if you are a Black man. Like, you're Kanye West, you married Kim Kardashian for a reason. You married Kim Kardashian for a reason, and now you're complaining about those same reasons and trying to pretend you understand what's going on, when you're really very far removed from actual real society. And like, even though, you know, he called out George Bush for racism all those years ago, saying George Bush doesn't care about Black people, and Trump does, like, and the people who say White Lives Matter do, and the people who say Blue Lives Matter do. No, they don't. They are not here for you, Kanye. They're not supporting you or your music, and if they are, then they're saying the N-word heavy when they're doing it. These are not your people, bro. And I think that's what's sad, is like, he came from the south side of Chicago, and now he's fighting for people who call those people thugs, aka Trump. Like, it's just very like, you're fighting for the wrong team, and I think it's just to be different and for spectacle, and because it feeds his God complex. He's a Gemini, right? He's a Gemini. So Geminis want to talk just to hear their own voice. Somebody in my TikTok comments told me about how, I think in an interview one time, Kanye said that the reason he always does things like these public stunts that he knows are gonna give him backlash is because he's addicted to the feeling of shame. And that just like, that really sunk deep, and that fucked me up. Thinking about that fucked me up. Cause it's like, that makes a lot of sense as to, it's kind of like a kink in a weird way, right? It's like, I can totally understand after seeing his actions, like, you are holding hands with Candace Owens, one of the most despised women, really, in the public eye. Like, people don't mess with Candace Owens like that. I don't know if despise is too harsh, but I'm not sure that it is. But she's not very well liked, and he knows that she's gonna get a negative reaction. And he knows that White Lives Matter is gonna get a negative reaction. But he wants to prove that he can do it because of, like, you know, free speech, and because, well, it's obvious, like, good one. The thing is, if it was clever, it'd be different. But it's not clever. Like, you doing something that bigots do after them isn't clever or unique or cool, Kanye. You're just being, like, you just look dumb. This, like, I know he's done things in the past that are stupid. They look stupid. And then he explains it in a way that is like, I could see how maybe you could have thought that was a good idea. This one is a no for me. And so hearing that he's addicted to the feelings of shame, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I should just pity the guy, or it's just very like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, you want to talk about being such a good example of like a black parent for your kids, but then you go and do this shit and pretend people can take you seriously as like a black figure, like, who's for black people. Like, you're not. Because this kind of thing encourages violence against the black community, and to ignore that is a symptom of wealth and privilege and ignorance and being too far removed from what's actually going on. Because yeah, it's all fun and games and like, I'm being ironic and this is obvious when you're protected by the upper echelon of your own wealth. I'm sure it's fun and games, and it's funny to test out the limits of, you know, how shamed you can be as a public figure, and it scratches that itch for you, but it kills people. So let's maybe find another way to get out our kinks and our playfulness and our need to scratch that itch of shame. You were dating Julia Fox. She's a dominatrix. I'm sure something could be arranged privately where you don't give bigots permission to gaslight and silence black people the way he just did. Because to be a black figure of that stature and to say something so harmful takes us steps back, because it matters in media. Those people watch Fox and they are brainwashed. It's not like a funny joke. It's not time to practice your shaming kink. Like, I'm just so over it. It's one thing when he's like being very erratic about personal things, and it's like, yeah, that's messed up, he needs help. But once you start like really, really misrepresenting the black community's values and goals, and like, it's very messed up to me that he's been able to weaponize his like black iconness in this way. Does that make sense? Like, really abuse his leverage as like an important man in hip-hop history. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's similar to one of the videos I made maybe a week or two ago, basically saying like, black men get excused out of their self-hatred by being misogynistic, and like a lot of the most self-hating black men will go down as like some of the most famous black men in history, and Kanye is one of them, because this is not like I love black people behavior. But also, I think Kanye is like a nerd in a situation that he doesn't know how to operate in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those guys that only has like controversial / like opinions that he wants to get reprimanded for, and he has the mic too much of the time, and he has too much attention on him, and he just does things for the reasons that are not always the right reasons, and it's very dangerous at this point because people are watching you, and white people will take this as permission to be assholes and to continue to gaslight people who say Black Lives Matter when black people get slaughtered on the streets by cops, and it's not the move, bro. It simply was not a step in the right direction. It was several steps back. And the fact that you held hands with Candace Owens and put Lauryn Hill's daughter in a White Lives Matter t-shirt is something I will never forget or forgive. And this is the first time I was like, Kanye, how are you coming back from this, brother? Some other things he posted on his Instagram were, so Bella Hadid's like spray on dress. He put the words White Lives Matter on it, and he posted a picture of Hailey Bieber and Gigi Hadid beside him. It was like a news website like screenshot, and he was like, Justin, come get your girl, because I guess Hailey Bieber also defended the black fashion designer or said Kanye sucks, whatever it is. Kendall Jenner also liked some posts by Jaden Smith, and people are saying, you know, she's also against Kanye, blah, blah, blah. Kanye said a lot of things about Gigi, did a lot of, he posted a picture of Bella Hadid on his story, and he cropped out Gigi, and the words cropped are on the picture. Like, he's wiling out. Yeah, I think somebody needs to take his phone. He needs therapy, he needs help, he needs friends, he needs family. Like, you can't just keep posting pictures of religious art and gargoyles and statues and crop pictures of sisters and your mother and other random pictures and say, you know, I miss my kids and this is why I did all my behavior. Oh, and his main thing, I think he was saying, like, I said, I'm now just having an epiphany that he's doing all this because I think he felt unsupported by the black community when he was saying that this white woman is keeping him from seeing his kids, and only Candace Owens was the one to say it's wrong, but he's not seeing that this behavior right here is why most people don't support you having your kids all the time. And it's not like I don't think it's like they don't see their father. I don't really know. Obviously, I don't know. I wasn't in the room when they had the divorce. But I think this is his way to, like, try and retaliate because he felt unsupported by the black community when he made that complaint, maybe? Is that something he was saying in his Instagram post, was like, you know, how are you gonna support Black Lives Matter, but no one cared when I said this white woman wasn't letting me see my kids? And it's like, I don't really see how you got from point A to point B. But, yeah. That's all I have to say about this topic. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Do not forget to like and subscribe and recommend this to a friend. And yes, I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.